Our job is not inflation. That is the words of Jerome Powell. He is the chair of the head of reserve for the United States. And those were his words on January 31st when he addressed the nation about the inflation and rate cuts, whether they were going to happen this year. Hey, if you don't know me, I am Drake Abshire. I am your Lafayette real estate specialist. I specialize in luxury homes and new construction properties all around Lafayette, Louisiana. And I'm here with your market update, not only what's going on nationally, but what's happening in Lafayette County, how that affects you, and the things that you have to know going forward this year. So after the press conference, we got to learn a lot about what's going on in the economy, what exactly has been happening, what are we seeing in the job market. Everything is pointing to deflation happening, but at the same time, the Federal Reserve is trying their best to get inflation under control from the past 3 years. So to clarify, Jerome Powell does control the Federal Reserve as the chair, but what people get a bit confused about in the housing market is that when the Fed does cut rates, it does affect the bond markets, which in turn can have a domino effect, also affecting what's happening with the housing rates. But he does not directly control what actually the housing rates are. It's the bond markets, and those markets are the ones that control actually what's going to happen. But they do pay close attention to what is happening in economic data because they decide whether or not to raise rates or to keep them lower in regards to what's happening with our economic data throughout the country. All the recent economic data does show that we're having a very solid economic expansion. So if we talk about an economic overview, here are 4 main points that we want to keep in mind. So far we're seeing recent indicators that suggest that solid economic data is starting to expand. We are seeing that jobs gains have moderated, but they are still strong. So moderated is better than actually continuing to rise, which is causing inflation. And then the employment rate does remain low. To be honest, a higher unemployment rate is actually what would help inflation. We want to see higher employment rates. I know that sounds terrible as far as economic data goes. No one wants to see anyone lose their job. But if employment rates are too high, then that means the market is too strong, and that's what causes inflation to continue to rise. So we're trying to find a healthy balance of making sure that there are enough Americans that have jobs and that rates and everything stays affordable. Inflation does seem to have eased over the past year, but it still remains elevated and high. Jerome Powell continued to mention in his speech that he really wants that target number to be 2%, not 1.9, not 2.1 or 2.5. 2%. That is that specific number that they are trying to work toward. Is it achievable? Possible, but they're making it very, very difficult for us to see any kind of rate cuts, which is of course what everyone wants to see happen. The rates come back down so we can get the housing market back up alive, people start to move again, and things get back to a healthier state of homes and house of living. So from the committee, this is specifically the goals that they mentioned. They said the committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and 2% inflation over the longer run. It risks achieving unemployment, and inflation goals are moving into a better balance, which is good. And then economic outlook is uncertain, and the committee remains attentive to inflation risks. So that's the reason why they chose just to hold the rates and not to cut them at this press conference, because they feel if they cut them too soon that we will have the same issue, same problem that we just had recently, which is inflation continuing to rise or jump right back up because too much is happening in the housing market. So as we going forward, the committee made some monetary policy decisions, and the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rates at 5.25 and 5.5%. That's where they're planning to keep it. Any adjustments to that target range, it says, will be carefully assessed based on the incoming data, the economic outlook, and the risk of keeping everything in a balanced position. He also mentioned on his press conference that the committee will continue to monitor incoming inflation reports and information on economic data, and they will be prepared to make adjustments on their stance based on the monetary policies if the risk emerges that could impede achieving their results or the goals that they're trying to get to. And of course, the assessment will always consider what's happening in the labor markets. It's going to look at inflation pressures, it's going to look at inflation's expectations, financial developments, and international developments, which all are based on those things. So overall, what does this mean? Well, we had some reports that had said that they were going to cut rates throughout the year. We were looking at 4, maybe 6 rate cuts. Well, they seem to be pulling back on that same idea and that prediction. So it's looking like rates actually may stay more stabilized throughout the year, which is good. It's fair. We would rather see stable rates than we would rather see, rates going back up or skyrocketing back up high, or if they drop so dramatically that we just have a ton of buyers flooding the market and it's a cluster again of over asking offers and too many people jumping back in at the same time, which causes housing prices to rise, makes it hard to get a home under contract, and it just ends up being utter chaos. Same problem we had for the past 2 years ago. But what does any of this mean for you? Well, we're coming now into our spring market, which we know spring market is notoriously known for being a better time for you to sell your property. There are more buyers out there. Most people like the weather. They tend to want to shop and see more houses. So more buyers out there, more sellers willing to move. So we are thinking that from the data and everything that we are seeing, without the rates being above 7%, they are down right now at 6.6, around that nationally, which is good because now staying in that 6.5 range, we can still see some activity still happening, and hopefully it's still going to be a good, healthy market for people to buy and sell. So now that we've talked about all this, let's get into the local data and we can see how what's happening nationally is specifically affecting what's happening locally. What does this mean for you as a buyer or seller? Let's look at all the data together, and then you guys can make an informed decision for yourself whether you should buy or sell in the next coming month. Okay, so everybody, this is the data that we are looking at. This is our January stats. They just got posted. So now we're looking at all of the data that is going from 2023 to 2024, looking at all the numbers and seeing the comparison. So right now, this is the gray bar is the entire MLS. Obviously, the blue is going to be Lafayette. We're looking at new listings and what has changed. So since last year to this year, we're seeing there is a change of 268, which was lower last year. We are seeing more listings. That's great. So that's a good news. 318, that's 18%, 0.7 in the amount of homes that we're seeing entering the market. That is solid. That's great news, especially for buyers. The amount of homes that we have for sale. We are seeing that in 2023, we had 799 and we got a 20% increase. We are at 964. That is beautiful. We want to see the more homes on the market in the area. Low inventory does not help anybody in the housing situation. So of course, we are very excited to see this type of data happening, an increase in inventory. The amount of pending sales, so that really tells us how many people are out there right now. Well, we got 244 last year, 262 this year. That is a 7.4 increase. Beautiful. That is what we want to see, is more homes getting under contract. Things are moving. So we are moving in a better direction. Is it major? No, but better direction. The amount of closed sales, so let's see how much we sold. Well, in last year it was only 179 homes. Now we're seeing 193. That is a 7.8% increase. That is beautiful. That's what we want to see as well. More sales starting to happen. What about days on market? Well, days on market is really specific. If you're a seller, you need to know these numbers. So for a seller, we have 36 for 2023 and 36 for 2024, 0%. Days on market has not changed at all from last year to this year. So steady. Yeah, it's staying pretty steady. On average, is what I usually tell most homeowners is looking at about 20 to 30 days to sell your property. Unless you are a hot, perfect listing, perfectly priced, then you can see yourself selling really, really fast. but for the most part, we are seeing things moving a bit slower in that direction. Month supply means how long would it take us in this market to be able to burn through all of the homes that are available. So last year was at 2.7, now we're at 3.7. We know a healthy market is in between 4 to 6 months, so we are not quite where we need to be yet. We are headed in that direction though, a 37% increase over last year. So that is a good thing. We are seeing good signs and it's heading in a better direction. The average sales price for our area. So this is what's interesting. A lot of people thought that because of interest rates being higher, that we would see that housing crash, right? Everybody was waiting for the housing crash and everything to just drop. It did not happen. If we look here, we see last year it was at 234 was the average home price. Now we're at 250. Right? So we are seeing actual increase of housing prices despite what happened with the interest rates. So if you were looking for that big old price drop and everything, well, it doesn't look like it happened. And just like I had predicted and most people had predicted, no housing crash. It was just the news, I think, that was trying to fearmonger some people and make good headlines. If we're looking here at price per square foot, you know how that's how appraisers will value homes and how realtors will help you find prices of properties. We went from 139 to 147. We're going to go to the shows versus shows that end up going to pending. We're looking at the median average. So we have about 7 showings on average that get your home to pend. We are now at 9. So it's actually taking longer. Buyers may be getting a bit more picky, which means you as a seller need to be very specific on not only how you price your home, but what are you offering? Is everything in good shape? Do buyers agree with everything that they see? And then of course, the shows per listing. So every single listing on average, they are getting about 3.2 showings. So that really hasn't changed from last year to this year. We're seeing pretty much the same as far as that goes. So not any major changes. So that is all the data I have for you guys for Lafayette Parish. Thank you so much for watching and checking everything out. Remember, I'm Drake Abshire. I'm with Epic Realty down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and the Solux Group leader, and we are your specialist in luxury homes and also in new construction. We would love to help you buy, sell, relocate to this area, and we have special BIP buyer programs that are available. Ask about those. Please DM me, text me, email me, or schedule a call with me and my team. We would love to connect with you and find out exactly what your goals are and how we can help you achieve those this year. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. Leave me a comment in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.